Hello everyone, this is Sean from Canvas Invaders. I'm here with a special guest, Byron Armstrong from Armova Curatorial. And we have the pleasure to be in their exhibition, their current exhibition, When Angels Speak of Love. So thank you, Byron. Thank you for having me in today and asking these questions, doing this interview. Really appreciate
thank
it.
you for taking the time.
Yeah. So like I was saying, we're currently at your exhibition, When Angels Speak of Love, an amazing follow-up to Too Much Fashion that was at United Contemporary. So how has this? Yeah. So how has this reception been so far?
The reception has been great. A lot of foot traffic, a lot of people, making a point of coming to see the show. The opening reception was fantastic. A lot of people, a lot of interested people. Sometimes I've had people come in who had no idea who Bell Hooks was. And then I explained to them, and then they walk away saying like, well, I should read that book. I had one person come in and say like, yeah, I've got that book and it's just been sitting on my shelf, but now I'm going to make a point of going to read that book. So I would say people are engaged with the topic. I think that it's a timely theme that I think a lot of people are thinking about in the current age that we're in. So yeah, I think it's been good.
Yeah, it's fun. That's actually one of my questions. So we're gonna circle back to that.
Okay.
A few things actually that you said right out the gate. So yeah, the inspiration behind the show is love, and more specifically, the themes of love found in the late great Bell Hooks book, All About Love. And I believe the author viewed love as, I saw a quote somewhere, as a radical tool for social justice, essential for transforming social structure. And when I read it, I was like, I kind of feel that way as well with visual arts has a way to just be a voice of change. I also think many times the artists behind those works are also stand as a voice of change as well. And you kind of hinted at it, but maybe we should, why does a show with a theme of love seems so important and almost like needed right now?
The world is chaotic. We can talk about shifting global orders. We can just talk about the rise of a sort of fascistic worldview. My partner, who is not here today because she's taking care of our son, she often says that we've gone through this point where we've been looking at things like decolonization, we've been looking at things like equity, and of course we came out of Black Lives Matter not too long ago, and that this rise of this sort of negative overall behavior is the last gasp of white supremacy. I think there's something to say to that, and I think that love is the antidote, but not sort of this over-romanticized, immature sort of Western idea of love that we have. I think it's more of the all-encompassing idea of respect that starts in the family home, and the idea of the family being beyond just this sort of isolated individual thing, expanding out into community. I think that we're really living in a world where we're really in a war between individualism and collectivism. The idea that we are a collective versus we are just the rugged individual that's all about us, just all about me. I don't care. Why should I have to care about your kid's school? I don't have kids. What's that got to do with me? And then that same person 20 years later is like, well, the crime is out of control. It's
I wonder why.
I wonder why. We're all interconnected, and until we come to that realization, then we're pretty much doomed as a species. So I think that's why this kind of resonates with people.
I guess the timing, the presidential library. I watched both speeches. I watched Michelle's speech and I watched Barack's speech, and it's one of those things where I thought his voice, or feel like his voice is needed, because whether you're a fan of his or not, he brings almost a sense of calm and like a brotherhood. The fact that he's doing he built the library in Chicago, and I just felt that his speech kind of spoke to some of this new guard of doing old things but more blatant. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, and it absolutely makes sense. I mean, what you're talking about is the same thing. The same thing has been done.
Yeah.
By prior, okay, so I mean, if we're talking about the U.S., it's the same thing has been done during prior administrations. The same policies have been enacted. Nothing really new in terms of how the United States deals with other countries outside of it.
Yeah.
There's nothing really too new. What is new is just how open they are about it.
Yeah.
There's not even any pretense of any sort of altruistic behavior behind what they're doing. You know, it's this idea of like, we're going to do this in order to liberate you. And then immediately it flips into, actually, we're just going to go in there and just change the regime because we don't like these people because they're not selling us ABC resource or whatever, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting time we're in.
It's interesting times.
Yeah, I guess times are always interesting, but this specific time frame is...
It's just more in your face.
Yes, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna shift from that, but stick with love.
Good.
So again, when angels speak of love, it's a group show featuring, it is 8 artists, right?
That's right.
8 artists, and covers multiple mediums from painting, photography, and like some sculpture work. And there is also a video display in the back.
There's video work. There's also craft work.
Craft. Okay. Yeah. So how does a show like this even like come to life? Or is this like, are some of the artists already in mind, or you reread the book and then something inspires you all to come up with a show that kind of falls in line with that book?
So when we knew that this was a show that we wanted to go forward with, you start thinking about the artists who are already doing work that speak to those themes. So yeah, we sort of had an idea, or reassembled an idea of who we wanted to be in this show based on the work and based on how we felt like it connected to these different themes within Bell Hook's work. There are artists who already had work in place that were perfect for the show, and then there are some works that were made specifically for this. But all of the artists were sort of given the opportunity to select passages that they felt that their work was most aligned with.
Yeah.
And so when you come to this show, there's not just an artist statement about the work, but there's also an accompanying passage to give you a sense of where that work is coming from, the inspiration for that.
Yeah, I noticed that on opening night, that there was passages and kind of a connection, how the connections were made. So that's really cool.
We wanted Bell Hook's voice, obviously, to be throughout the show. And that's important.
It definitely is important. Kind of give us maybe a history of some of the stuff you do leading up to now, and then I guess how Armova came into play and that kind of. It's like a background introduction. Maybe we should have did that part first, but
sure. No. So Ilene, who is my partner in this group, she has a community arts background. She used to manage a artist studio on Walnut. There was a fire that put an end to that studio. But she is also the founder of the Feminist Arts Conference. And she is an OCAD-U professor, at one time chair of drawing and painting. So yeah, she has an extensive background in community arts work.
Okay.
And so like this is almost just a natural extension of her and her, her skills. Myself, I'm an arts writer and journalist, covering mainly community and arts related stories. I try to find the intersections between art and society, which I hope is something that gets recognized in these shows. There's a reason why these things are so tuned to the culture, I guess. And I don't know, like the next part of that question, how did we get to Armova? That's an interesting thing. We worked together on a show that was a retrospective of an artist originally from Detroit, who came to Toronto and had a full-on career teaching and was one of the original cohort of Black artists from the 80s going forward, who was just important, and we felt like shouldn't be forgotten for their contributions. So we did the show for Barbara Moore at Context by Train. And that was a good working experience. And so we started to have more of these sort of conversations with each other. We do a lot of traveling. So we've had the benefit of seeing a lot of art shows in a lot of different places. And we had a thought to ourselves, like, what's actually missing from the Toronto art scene, or even just the Canadian art scene that we could bring back. And so we started scheming. We started brainstorming, and Armova came out of that, basically. A desire to amplify underrepresented artists from our home city, but also from elsewhere with a global perspective, to take works from here to other places around the world so that other people can see what our artists are doing.
There's a connection, you kind of touched on it, but there's a specific connection with the Bahamas, it looks like. The Caribbean, but Bahamas. Is your background Bahamian or?
So, yeah, this is interesting. So I am not the person with that background.
Okay.
Right, my background is Jamaican.
Okay, mine too.
My partner's background is Bahamian. Her grandfather was a Bahamian man that came to Canada during the war, World War II.
Oh, wow.
To work on planes.
Wow.
And he established himself here. Actually, they set down in Cabbagetown. And then they established themselves there. And so she went on sort of a cultural journey, maybe just before we met. So maybe the last 15 years.
Okay.
15 years. And she went to the Bahamas and started to meet her family. But what she also did, being who she is, met the people who were in arts and culture and sort of developed relationships with people. We started our thing, our partnership, and our relationship, I should say. And then I started coming down and doing visits and meeting with people, and I started writing about some of the things going on there. while I was writing about things going on here and also things going on in the States.
Yeah.
We have a pretty solid relationship with artists and arts leaders in the Bahamas, and it's been interesting to see how they've grown. And this is a big thing in Toronto. There is an intention, right? Nothing just kind of happened. And I think sometimes people think that if they just keep doing the same thing, eventually something different is going to happen. And no, there is people who sat down and said like, okay, so we want this thing to happen. How do we go about doing this, right? Whether that be like community art spaces. Who do we need to speak to get funding to do this thing? Who do we need to partner with to do this thing? Is this a viable thing?
Yeah.
Right? To now we're in place where they can have a pavilion at the Venice Biennale, and it can be covered by art media
around the world,
globally, right? But that was a process. It was intentional, and it's not something that could be done while wrestling with each other's egos. It's something that we need to be, again, it's that word, collective. We need to think like a collective about how we move forward for the good of everybody here in this place.
Yeah, wow, that's crucial. We got to build this network together. So I just like that idea of having an intention for building the community and just growth and doing something with all of this, like having just that intention. So
so I mean, if we build the infrastructure or the ecosystem, then you don't have to have artists in a position where they're like just waiting for things to kind of fall into place.
Yeah.
Right? There is the next two steps. They can envision that for themselves. And I think that's very important. I mean, there's a big part of our curation where we're merging with more established artists. So I'm sure that there is even mentorship on that level when you've got people having conversations. So some of those artists you're talking about were artists that we actually showed at Too Much Fashion, and they came to support. And two of the artists who were in this show were actually in Too Much Fashion as well, Veronica Dorset and Ocho Adgi. So, I think it's not just mentorship from top down, but it's also like from this end to the other end. You know, I think someone that was in Too Much Fashion, Gordon Shadrack, is a huge example of an artist who is just like a mentor to so many people, right? Also someone like a Benny Bang, I know, is a huge mentor to people. So, it's not always going to come from, it doesn't necessarily have to come from us or necessarily come from like curators or whatnot. It can also be like just artist to artist, just turn to the person next to you, maybe, right? And have that conversation. Natia, I know, who is in the show, is a great mentor and opens up her space for community shows and events. So like more of that, I think is the answer.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Opening night was buzzing.
Yeah.
Just you guys are putting on amazing shows, which I hope continues.
Yeah. Well, we do too.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I'd be lying if I said like I know what that secret sauce
what
is.
the recipe is.
Because it's, we just kind of do what we do.
Yeah.
And then like we let the people decide.
Yeah.
So it's great. Anytime I hear that from, I'm sure I also speak for Ilene. Anytime we hear that from people, that's a great thing. It's reaffirming.
These shows feel like it's a way to introduce the community into an industry or a field that they never knew that they were really interested in until they saw. Like I always hear people say, I create art because I never saw myself on the wall. Like that's a real thing. And then when you do get to see it for the person who is like slightly interested, and it's like, right, like the piece behind you is huge, bigger than your phone screen. It's just one thing. It's like, oh, this is what it's about. There's the difference of seeing it on Instagram and then in person. And there's people here, the artist is here. I can actually talk to the artist. So all of that helps, I think, with growing the interest in an audience that didn't know that they were really interested until they got a chance to see themselves maybe in, I don't know, like I said, I ramble.
I think I understand what you're saying. I think that art is typically presented to people as institutional through institutions, and that can be intimidating, particularly if you're part of a group that has been traditionally left out of the Western art canon and the institutions that prop that up.
Yeah.
And so like spaces like this, I think, are welcoming to people, particularly from those groups, because they can see themselves, yes, reflected in the work, but they can also see work that actually speaks to something that's part of their lives, their lived experience. There's a piece here that Veronica Dorset has made where it's all really based around her memories of care. And that includes a bottle of Vicks and a child, which is representative of her, on top of that bottle. And there are people who go to that, they see that and it's like, oh yeah, I can smell it right now. Right? Like it's like, but it is so like impactful. You can see it going into their brain and that them pulling that memory out. Right? That is a memory that is across anybody who was raised by a Caribbean parent or an African parent. Like you all remember the Vicks.
Yeah.
And so this is something that you're not going to maybe necessarily get going to a show that is an institutional show that has its own mandate with regards to what you're seeing, or some hyper conceptual show where there's like some chairs stacked in a corner or something. Like, I'm not poo-pooing the chairs stacked in the corner. I'm just saying that different people are going to get different things from different stimuli, right? And so we're making shows for community. So that's probably why people are coming in and feeling like, oh, this is a community vibe.
Yeah.
Right? It's probably not much more to it than that.
Yeah. Well, that's a crucial point. I like that point. We're making shows for the community. So that's true.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't want to take more of your time. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, how long does this show? Because I'm going to try to get this out before it ends.
So this is up until June 28th.
Okay.
And we also, Make Room is also partnered with us on an activation of the space. I believe that is the 24th.
I'll put it in
after the fact. But I'll let you know.
Okay. Cool. And Make Room is Trevor Twells.
Trevor Twells. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Also super cool dude too.
Also very nice guy out doing a lot of that sort of work, creating those spaces. And it's good to see that there are galleries partnering with independents. United Contemporary is a great example of that. They were incredibly helpful, offering us a space for Too Much Fashion last year. I know they just offered a space to Delali Kolfi's solo show for
spoke to him
Contact.
there.
And so that's great. And you know, I hope that more of that happens, because that is that sort of infrastructure ecosystem that we need, that sort of intentionality where people are going to say, I recognize that you're an independent and you don't have a space, but I'm going to allow you to have a space here, right? In a month where we're going to be dark or whatever it is, right? or just, you know, I'm an artist and I have a studio space. I'm privileged to have a studio space. Why don't you do a show in my studio space? These kind of things are just ideas that we can build off of.
Yeah.
They've been done in other places. I always say this about government because government pisses me off. It's like, if you don't know how to do this thing, go look at what this country did because they've already solved this problem.
Yeah.
Like, and I am a person that believes every problem, almost every problem that you see, institutionally, someone has an answer for it. They've already figured it out. And I feel the same thing about the arts movement in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
If you see barriers or gatekeepers, whatever that is, understand that other people have figured out ways around all this stuff already.
Yeah.
Right? They figured out ways to build infrastructures and ecosystems. So maybe pay attention to what other people are doing and introduce that in your own backyard and see what happens, right? Intention.
Yeah, I think that's the love and intention are
Love
the
and
key
intention.
the key words.
Well, intentional love is
that too.
That is a, you know, an action.
I've been told that and didn't like it when it was being told to be intentional with your love, Sean. But we won't go into that.
Hey, that's your personal business.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
when angels speak of love, go until June 28th, come through 2104 Dundas Street West.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing place, amazing pieces of artwork here. So please come, bring a friend, and post and talk about it. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.